He gave her a decade of freedom, but paid the ultimate price. The knot in my stomach twists tighter every time I replay the last 10 years in my head. A decade. 10 years I spent living a life dictated by a decision born from the ashes of my marriage. A decision that I thought was a necessary evil. A sacrifice for my children. Now, I think it might destroy me. It all started when I caught Lisa, my wife, in the act. The raw, gut-wrenching pain of that moment is still so vivid. So sharp. She confessed she'd fallen out of love. That motherhood had crushed her. And she craved freedom. Freedom from me. From our life. From the vows we made. In open marriage. She proposed. With our 2 young children. Barely out of infancy. Hanging in the balance. Divorce felt impossible then. A logistical and financial nightmare that would splinter our family irrevocably. So, like a fool, I agreed. We became co-parents. Living under the same roof but in separate worlds. Steeped in bitterness and resentment, mostly mine. She flitted about. Dating. Exploring. While I swallowed the bile of betrayal and focused on our kids. Months blurred in tears. I threw myself into work. Into being a dad. Trying to ignore the parade of men in and out of her life. Then, Kathy walked into my life. She's my junior at work. And from the moment we started talking, it felt like a breath of fresh air. Bonding with her was so easy. So natural. We started spending time together outside of work. Laughing. Sharing, connecting. And now, she's even crashing at my place. Not regularly, but often enough. This has stirred something dark and ugly in Lisa. Lisa has been acting strangely lately. She's suddenly always around when Kathy is over. Hovering. Inserting herself into our conversations. I had to remind her. Sharply. That we are separated. That I am free to see whomever I choose. Just as she has been for years. The other night, Kathy and I were having dinner in my kitchen when Lisa appeared. All smiles and innocent eyes. Can I join you guys? The air instantly thickened with tension. Kathy and I exchanged bewildered glances. But Lisa, oblivious or uncaring, grabbed a plate and sat down, launching into forced, vapid conversation. The dinner was ruined, and I tried to chalk it up to Lisa just trying to be friendly, to fit in. But then there was another incident. She tried to boss me around, about our youngest son's science project, demanding I help him, even though we have a system for divvying up schoolwork. When I resisted, she snapped. Is this kid not yours? It exploded into a full-blown argument, leaving Kathy feeling awkward and quickly excusing herself. After that, Kathy told me she won't come over anymore. We're meeting at her place now. But it's not the same. Why should I have to compromise my life? Tiptoe around my own home. When I silently endured Lisa's choices for a decade. She brought countless men into her home, into my bed, and I looked the other way for the sake of the kids. Now that I've finally found someone I connect with, someone who makes me feel alive again, she acts like I'm out of line. I confronted her about her behavior the other day. She feigned indifference, claiming she wasn't bothered by my closeness with Kathy and that I was overthinking things. If you continue to put your leg into my space, then I would think about getting divorced. I warned her. Tears welled up in her eyes. A performance I've seen countless times before. She insisted she didn't mean to cause trouble. That she was just worried about our son's project. Then, she did something truly manipulative. She called Kathy, apologized profusely, and invited her over. Kathy, bless her heart, accepted the apology but firmly drew a line, stating she preferred to meet me at her place. This is it. I can't live like this anymore. I need to get rid of Lisa. Legally and emotionally. I'm terrified she'll sabotage my relationship with Kathy. That she'll poison the well with her manipulative games. I'm seriously considering divorce now. The only reason I didn't pursue it years ago was to protect my children from having to choose sides. But now, I'm wondering if I should finally prioritize my own happiness. Or should I wait? Endure more years of this suffocating limbo. Until my children are older. I'm still seething with anger at Lisa for her initial betrayal. For dragging me into this open marriage charade. And anger at myself for being weak. For not fighting back harder when she first proposed it. I'm so sorry for all the rambling and missing information around. This is about cheating in our separation dynamics. People have been saying it's difficult to give any advice without this clarity. So here's everything. It's going to be long. This was like 10 years ago, so I might miss some details here and there. She didn't let me come near her. She said she didn't feel ready for sex. Pregnancy and breastfeeding had made her have a reversion to intimacy. I respected her decision. But she was also drifting apart emotionally. I suggested we seek couples therapy. Eventually she agreed. It was almost a year when I lost patience and confronted her that we need to address the elephant in the room. She gaslighted the situation, that I was being insensitive and all those things. But I wasn't going to fall for it. I demanded she tell me the truth. I snooped on her phone, but didn't find anything concrete. I don't remember exactly how I got the clue. But one day she said she was going out shopping with her friends. I followed her car and found her cheating. I barged into his apartment, finding her barely able to play, trying to cover herself. I held the guy by his neck and was almost about to punch him when Lisa intervened and pleaded with me to leave him. Apparently, he was just one of the guys she was hooking up with. It blew my mind. What the hell? She confessed to hooking up with a couple of guys. The guy standing in front of me had no idea what was happening or that she was married with kids. We came back home and I did all sorts of things which any man in my situation would do. No, not hitting her. I insisted on a divorce. I even hired a lawyer and discussed the case. As the situation progressed and the lawyer explained the reality, it shook me. There was no real game for me except heartache. At most, I could get joint custody, which would again be at the mercy of Lisa to let me meet them and dictate the terms. Yeah, of course. I could knock on the courtroom door if she doesn't comply with a court order. But how many times would a normal man want to get into this legal law? We live in a no-fault state. So no moral policing for her. I still have to pay alimony. Child support is anyway unavoidable. So basically, I would lose everything just to spend time with my children. Lisa, on the other hand, was also against divorce. That's when she told me about opening our marriage and that we can come back to each other whenever we wanted. I know I never wanted her back. But divorce was unaffordable at that time, and I thought I had to do it to co-parent our children. So we did that. Does she choose to call it open marriage or whatever the as she wants? I consider this to be a dead plant and we are separated. In the last 10 years, Lisa has had many partners. Does she claim nothing serious with any of them? I believe she had at least 3 partners who were more than just physical. She went hiking and on vacations with them. First her cheating, and then her multiple partners banging her in our bedroom. We have a duplex, and I took the guest bedroom upstairs. The stairs leading to it have a passage through the back door. The main entrance of the house opens into a living room with a huge closed kitchen with dining space. Upstairs, it was a guest room, the same size as a master bedroom, and the remaining space had a huge library sort of structure for reading and hosting parties. Sometimes I wish I could shut my eyes. But for my children's sake, I remain vigil. I felt hollow in all of this. Instead, I focused on more meaningful stuff. I joined a badminton club and worked on my athletic body. I was a sports enthusiast in college. How much so? I went back to pursuing field games on weekends. I joined a hiking club that organizes solo hikes every 2 months. It was damn fun. I did that for 2 years continuously. And now I do it only twice a year. I've had hookups here and there in these last 10 years. But no emotional affair and no long-term partners. Didn't feel that connection with anyone else. With Kathy, playthings are different. I feel happy around her. She's a woman I feel I can give love another chance. The current situation remains the same. Kathy refuses to come to my place. I'm worried that she would go distance from me. And I don't want to lose her. The situation is practically choosing between Kathy and my children. And I'm struggling to make a choice. Update 1. Hello all. Thanks for all the suggestions and comments. I appreciate all of it. Good and bad both. I saw a therapist, which helped a lot in understanding my focal point and what I wanted at this point in life. I want Kathy and I want to lead their individual lives, and it doesn't make sense to miss my chance of being happy with Kathy. I had a transparent discussion with Kathy, and she said I can work this out. Dynamics. She just doesn't feel comfortable being around my legal wife. She's fine with the children around me. I said I can work this out. I'm going to move out. The children can decide where they want to stay. They are mature enough to make this decision and shuffle between moms and dads. Kathy voted. My therapist suggested children's counseling, where they could be made aware of our marital status in an age-appropriate manner. I told Lisa about the counseling thing, and she flipped out. She said I was being selfish and nuts for dragging my children into this mess. That Kathy and I should prioritize my family over my own selfish desires. I lost my S at this. Really? Lisa? Are you the one giving these preachings of family and morals BS? What happened to your ethics when you were getting knocked up by different dicks, while your children were still breastfeeding and rolling in their crib? I asked her to back off and took the kids to the counselor. It was helpful. They also agreed that I have the right to be happy for the rest of my life. I thought we decided never to get divorced and be with each other throughout. You are leaving your family to be with her. The kids asked me about the sanctity of married life for them. I said stop trying to guilt trip me. This isn't helping. Cut the crap and sign the papers. I'll be paying for the children's education until college. And you can keep the house and the car. That would be your alimony. I'll be moving out. Back then I couldn't. But now I can do what I want. She cried and tried all the means. She said I can move out and live with Kathy and remain married. I said I love Kathy and don't want her to be called my mistress. I know no one would name call her that way. But Lisa would. She can go any length to humiliate me. The paper should be in any day. And I'm moving in with Kathy next month. I'm waiting for my children's annual exams to be over. I would be taking them for a trip. And then I would move out. I would be relieved when all these get settled for good. Update 2. As I mentioned in my last update, this woman used this opportunity to pull off her evil plan. She told her that she's tearing apart our family and that our children would be suffering because of her. Lisa said that I wasn't serious about her and Kathy was just a fling for me. Lisa is a shrewd and cruel woman. She knows very well how to play her cards. And she didn't succeed. I should add, has she been any other woman? I am pretty sure she would have succeeded. That's what I love about her. She's a secure woman. Despite my complex situation. When I returned home and got to know about Lisa's malicious move. Should have done this earlier to get the S out of her head. I have moved out of the house. My children have also decided to stay with me. But we don't have a spare room for them. So, I'm looking out for a bigger house to accommodate my children. From guilt-tripping to yelling. Text from gaslighting to sobbing and pleading, asking for another chance to be given to our relationship. I said our relationship was over 10 years ago. The reality is, I have moved on from loving her. She's nothing to me. I love Kathy and want to spend the rest of my life with her. When the divorce papers reached Lisa, my lawyer had to send her a notice threatening to sue her for damaging a legal document. Only then did she mellow down and agree. The divorce proceedings are on. And I haven't checked up on my STBX since then. I went to pick up my children twice, but didn't enter the house. They are 11 and 13 now. And they are quite mature to understand the divorce and separation. Update 3. The highlight of this update is the divorce is settled. And my children have moved in with me. Renting a house and moving stuff has been difficult. But we are getting there. We had not told Lisa about children moving in with me until I rented a new house. The children said that they would keep their bags packed and sneak out with me when Lisa wouldn't be around. But I decided to go in a legal way. Don't want to get into another trouble with that woman, as per our divorce clause. So I went home and told her that the children wanted to move in with me, and I would be coming in 3 days to pick them up. As expected. She freaked out. Good for her that she didn't go violent, breaking things in anger. She chose the emotional way, hugged the kids and cried. She tried her best to emotionally manipulate them to stay with her. And she was even successful in doing that with the younger. He said that he wants to stay with Mama. Kathy had told me that situations like this could brew, and I should be prepared for their last-minute back-out. So, when he called to tell me that he wants to stay with Lisa, I said cool. Dad loves you no matter what. I said sure. I'll pick you up. I don't know what happened in between. But when I went to pick him up, both the boys were ready with their stuff. I had them both and shipped them away. But I didn't ask them what happened there. It's already so dramatic for them. I don't want to torture them. Kathy and I are trying to make them comfortable at our house. And we are involving them in setting up their room. When the children were leaving the house, I was expecting Lisa to give her last lecture. But she just sat there crying and sobbing. She asked me if I had a minute for a coffee. And she said, I was delusional all this while. thinking you would never leave me. When Kathy came into your life, I didn't consider her to be a threat. I thought her to be one of those things that would fizzle out in a month. I guess I took you for granted because of the security you provided to me and the children. Despite everything I did to you, I didn't realize I was mean and narcissistic. And when I did, it's too late, I guess. I just smiled and suppressed my emotions from flowing out. But when I stood up to leave, she came forward to hug me. I hugged her back. That was our first hug in 10 years. Nor can I express how I feel now. I'm neither happy nor sad. I guess I would take time to process everything. But thanks for all the support. I might update the thread if something progresses from here. Now on to the next story. Story 2. Wife cheated on me with her own cousin. My wife and I knew each other our entire lives before we got married. It was a really sweet story of childhood friends who fell in love young and got married. When we started dating, we were each other's first kiss. We were neighbors growing up, and we would often play together as children. I knew her family, and she knew mine. We would be together forever. After we both graduated college, we got married and we started planning our future. We ended up buying a house near my uncle in our hometown so we could be close to our families. After a couple of years, we decided to start building a family together. We have 2 children, twins, and our life was perfect. Out of the blue one evening while we were watching a TV show, my wife asked me if I regretted never being with another woman. I immediately told her that I didn't. I'll admit that there have been other women I've been attracted to, but sleeping with them had never crossed my mind. I love my wife very much, and she was the only one for me. I asked her about why she brought that up, and she told me that she had just been thinking about it. When my wife was a teenager, my wife's aunt went through a very bitter divorce and was staying at my wife's family home. For quite some time I remember it being a big deal at the time. When she married the man, she ended up moving out. One of them, Paul, has always been a bit of a problem child, forward of wild. Despite all of that, he was always very fun to be around. He was the life of the party. He had a good job and he was on the straight and narrow. And his only major issue was his inability to remain in a relationship. Paul was dating a girl that he really liked, and she ended up breaking up with him. And he was hurt. My wife, being the sensitive and caring woman that she was, went to see Paul to comfort him. I didn't go because I didn't want to overwhelm him. I never expected that anything would happen between them. She came home later that night, and when I asked her about what happened, she was very evasive with her answers. She didn't seem to want to tell me about what Paul said to her, and I thought it was fishy at the time. But again, I never thought she was doing anything inappropriate with him. Looking back, she was being very generous to me with a lot of things. She kept cooking my favorite meals, and she surprised me with small gifts, and she complimented me all the time. But it was a little over the top. It felt almost like a child who broke something they shouldn't have been playing with, trying to make up for it. About a week after the night she visited Paul, she went back. She told me she was going to bring him some food just to make sure he was getting something healthy to eat. I offered to come along so I could check in on him, but my wife told me that it would be better if it was just her. I just assumed that it had something to do with him being in an emotional state. I stayed back and put the kids to bed while she went to visit Paul. She came back a few hours later and told me that they had a long talk about everything. She didn't give me any details about what he said. She started to visit Paul by herself a lot more frequently over the next few weeks. As I said before, Paul dated a lot of women and broke up with a lot of women. I have never seen him so distraught over a breakup before. She came home one night and I asked her about what was really going on with Paul. I didn't think that she was sleeping with him, but I thought something else was happening. It was just also out of the ordinary. I offered to maybe go talk to him and give him some advice, but she told me that it probably wouldn't be much help, regardless of what she said. I was worried about him. He was my family and my friend, and I wanted him to be okay. Over my lunch break at work the following day, I stopped by his house to check on him. At the time this was happening, my wife wasn't working. She was a stay-at-home mom and the kids were in school. So, she had all day to do whatever she wanted to do. Her car was in the driveway when I arrived. She didn't tell me she was going to visit Paul that afternoon, so I was a little surprised. I approached the door ready to ring the bell and pop in to see what was going on. Before I even touched it, I could hear noises right on the other side of the door. It sounded like they were having sex, and my wife was being pinned up against the door. I was frozen in place. That was absolutely the last thing I expected to see. I couldn't even believe it. I don't know why I did it, but I ended up calling my wife on the other side of the door. I heard her phone go off and I heard them both freeze for a moment while she looked at it and rejected the call. I heard some muffled conversation as Paul asked her if she was okay. My wife told him that it was just a little weird that I was calling in the middle of the day, and that worried her. I stood outside for a few minutes contemplating what I wanted to do. I just caught my wife having sex with Paul. Paul was her cousin. Not related by blood, but he was still very much a part of the family. It took me a few minutes before I put everything together. I knew right away that it was over between her and me. Our entire relationship was going to be flushed down the toilet. I was going to divorce her. And I was going to get proof of what happened before doing so. I knew Paul had a spare key hidden under a rock by his house. I could hear the noises coming from the bedroom. And I made my way there. The door was wide open. And I pulled my phone out to take a quick video of both of them. I knocked on the door and both of them turned around to look at me. They tried to cover themselves up and explain what was happening, telling me she was only sleeping with him to help get his mind off the other woman, as if that made it okay. I was flabbergasted. I called off work for the rest of the day and sat in my car, while I looked for a good divorce attorney online. I reached out to one and set up a meeting. And while I waited for that, I went home and packed a bag to go stay at my parents' house. While everything was figured out, I grabbed the kids from school and brought them along with me. My wife was blowing up my phone. But all I did was text her and let her know that I had the kids and they were safe. But I needed time away from her. That just wasn't enough for me though. She cheated on me with her own cousin, destroying our family. I wanted to get back at her for what she did. I thought about it quite a bit and I realized that not many people would be understanding of their relationship. Again, I crafted a heartfelt Facebook post explaining to everybody that after years of being together, my wife and I were divorcing. I explained what happened in that post. A ton of family members commented saying that what she did was wrong, and they were telling me how sour they were for what I went through. Later that same day, my wife and Paul both reached out to me and asked me to take the post down, because they were getting very hateful messages, images from family and friends alike. I told them that I didn't have to take it down and I didn't plan on it. Both my wife and her cousin were pretty much barred from every family function that we had. They lost a ton of friends and pretty much everybody in our family shamed them for what they did. Paul slept with his cousin. Both of them were humiliated by the post. My wife and I are divorced now. And I was awarded the house and all of her assets because I purchased them all. She has received no spousal support from me. And until she gets a job, I have primary custody of the kids. Did I mess this up? I'm sitting here now, the dust finally starting to settle. And I can't help but wonder if I handled things the right way. Should I have been more patient with Lisa? Was pushing for divorce the best thing for my children, even though they seem happy now? Was I wrong to expose Lisa and Paul on Facebook, even if they deserved it? I'm torn between feeling vindicated and feeling like I could have handled this whole situation with more grace. Please, Reddit, tell me what you think. Should I have stayed? Tried to work things out for the kids' sake? Should I have found a way to forgive Lisa, even after everything? Or was I right to prioritize my own happiness, even if it meant disrupting my children's lives? Did I go too far in shaming Lisa and Paul publicly? I'm open to any and all opinions, even if they're harsh. I just need to know if I navigated this crazy situation the best way I could, or if I made a series of mistakes that will haunt me for years to come.